And I want to do a live tonight talking about why is the Trump administration hiding the Epstein files. We know that Attorney General Pam Bondi made statements that she was going to expose the files in the Black Book and let everybody know what was going on. And that was several weeks ago, and they still have not done it. We also know that in the tape that was released out of Epstein's jail confinement, that there was like a 1 minute gap that had been allegedly teetered with, or something happened to it during the time that he allegedly hung himself. I absolutely don't believe that Jeffrey Epstein hung himself. And I think there's some co-collaboration between Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Puffy Combs. We're talking about human trafficking, child trafficking, prostitution. And I think the real reason that the U.S. government, the feds, Homeland Security went after Puffy, after you saw that courtroom debacle with the feds, where he only got convicted of 2 charges, which were the RICO charge didn't stand, and he basically got convicted of 2 lower level prostitution charges, that they probably were really after the videotapes, the files, just like Jeffrey Epstein. There has been a scenario where Epstein has been alleged to have been videotaping very powerful people. And Sean Puffy Combs is the same allegations. All of these cameras in their homes, both Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Puffy Combs. Why would someone need, you're a multi-millionaire, possible billionaire, why are you having all these cameras inside your home? Bathrooms, bedrooms. Either you're highly paranoid or there's something that's going on that you want to record. That is common sense. And I think that Sean Puffy Combs took the playbook right out of Jeffrey Epstein. But taping people and what do you call it? Creating coercion, blackmail of individuals, that has been going on in the record business forever, or the music business. And with Epstein, I think Epstein's situation was on a higher level. We're talking about Israel, we're talking about Mossad, we're talking about the CIA. Jeffrey Epstein popped out of nowhere. This is a guy who taught at the Dalton School, which is one of the finest preparatory schools, high schools in the country. Jeffrey Epstein didn't even have a degree, but he was connected. I think this is a scenario with both Epstein and Sean Puffy Combs of not what you know, but who you know. And there is a large cache out here in the world that the average person does not know, where who you know is more important than what you know. But in this scenario, with the videotaping and the possible blackmailing, who you know and what you know of them is the real nucleus for trying to have power, especially if you're blackmailing someone. So Epstein started out with the Dalton School. He ends up developing these relationships with somebody like Lex Wexner, who is, or was, he's 87 years old, from Dayton, Ohio, a guy that nobody knows about in the public, but has been the owner of Victoria's Secret, Express, The Limited, Banana Republic, Bath and Body Works, Inc., etc. So this is a guy who's been heavily inundated in the modeling business. Sean Puffy Combs got involved with fashion with Sean John. Music and fashion align themselves together. And so you have this axiom of these individuals, and I'm sure Sean Puffy Combs has crossed paths with Jeffrey Epstein and Lex Wexner at some point. Clive Davis was his mentor. Very in same similarities, it sounds like. So Jeffrey Epstein is the Sean Puffy Combs. Lex Wexner is the uh, Clive Davis in this scenario. Their lives have aligned themselves with each other 100%. One is a Jewish guy, one is a black guy, both from New York. Hello there. Thank you for joining. And just to talk about this, why haven't the Trump administration released those files? They're not going to do it. Trump visited Epstein multiple times, ex-president Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Elon Musk. I'm sure Sean Puffy Combs had been there, Prince Andrew. So this is going all the way to England. This is an international scheme that has been going on with Jeffrey Epstein for a number of years. It stayed under the radar. Nobody ever knew who Jeffrey Epstein was until recently. And I say it all the time. The unseen will become seen, and the unbelievable will become believable. We are living in a very demonic time. And there are benefits and there are some negativity to social media. But I would say one of the benefits is anybody and any person can get on a platform and speak their piece and their justice and their opinion about all kinds of topics. We don't have the old media format, which was a controlled environment. Anybody can get on a platform such as myself and give their opinion. I think that's a great thing. There have been way too many things over the last 200 years in America and definitely throughout the world where things have been held in secrecy. And now, if you're well read, versed, view learning as a tool and an asset as to being a part of your life, then you can find this information out. None of us would know who Les Wexner was until over the last 10 years. And now with Google, YouTube, yes, yeah, yes, that person saying, yeah, getting as many sources as possible and their views to put this information out there. This is important, and the everyday person can research this information and give their opinion, whether it's legal, whether you have a law background and or not, or a PhD in common sense. But there is a lot that's going on. I think the Epstein files are not going to be displayed, and it's not based on Republican or Democrat, because both of those people are on the tapes. So this is not party driven or diversiveness versus for a Republican or Democrat or a divisiveness. This is this is about humanity. This is about child trafficking. This is about human trafficking. This is about prostitution, and it's very unfortunate. And you have to ask two questions. One is, I would tell you that Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Puffy Combs were not the power brokers in this situation. They're higher ups that created them. They're the puppets. We need to find out who the puppeteers are. Is it the Leslie Wexners of the world? It makes you wonder, why would Bill Gates, one of the richest men of all time, why is he going to Jeffrey Epstein's New York apartment? How does Jeffrey Epstein garner a $47 million Manhattan apartment with no degree? How does he end up worth $400 and $500 and $600 million with no degree? How does he end up on Wall Street? He ended up at Dalton and on Wall Street with no background in economics, finance, or math. No, I agree with you. It doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. People are people. Right is right, wrong is wrong. I completely agree with that. But we have to look at, as the average citizen today, is to see that there are, not only in our politics and our government, there are things that are going on today that nobody is aware or knows anything about. But the great thing about social media is that you have specific people like myself who are researching and looking into these things and want to shed some light on it. The buttons that are being pushed that have effects on our freedoms today, we need to shed some light on these individuals like BlackRock, like State Street, like Vanguard. You need to know what's going on with these companies and these individuals that are running them. There are individuals that are running these companies that have very demonic views on life and on human beings. Is it money over people? And in the modeling agency, in the modeling business, for years, you've always heard rumors that it was demonic, that it was sexist, that there were all kinds of games being played on very, very young women. And you have to think, why would there be a business where you want to find someone who is 12, 13, and 14 years old, not fully developed, 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", take them away from their parents, move them to Europe, and start this career? And it makes you wonder, too, why would parents be okay with that? Are we chasing the bag by any means necessary, willing to give up our moral and ethical character and our humanity, and to basically sell and give away our children? And this is not only happening to the young ladies or to little girls, this is happening to young boys too in the modeling business. Prostitution is not delegated based on sex. Male and female can get caught up in this cache or this chasm of prostitution and child trafficking. But the media has focused on Jeffrey Epstein and Puffy here recently. But the real thing, if you are truly an intellectual and philosophical about life, the people that you see are the puppets. The people you don't see are the puppeteers. And those are the ones that are pushing the buttons and making the decisions on what's going on around us in this world. The Leslie Wexners. You have Prince Andrew that I think it was a puppet. I don't think he carries a lot of power with his family. You got Epstein Island. How was this guy able to galvanize over $600 million in net worth and have his own island, have places in New York, have a place, I think, in New Mexico, down in Palm Beach, Florida, and this being allowed to go on for year after year after year? You're talking about the police force is involved in it. You're talking about chiefs of police. You're talking about mayors, politicians in Florida, New York, and elsewhere. How was this gentleman able to do all of that? Well, there has to be somebody above him that's making the phone calls, that's pushing the button to allow this to go on. And it's the same way with Sean Puffy Combs. That Sean Puffy Combs is not about Sean Puffy Combs. If you really want to get rid of the destruction, the decimation, the disillusionment of fame by any price and by any means necessary, it's the person above Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Puffy Combs. If you really want to get down to the nucleus and the nemesis of what has been taking place. And this whole child trafficking thing is a real issue. It's not just, the issues today are not just immigration, drug trafficking, the opioid epidemic, but probably the most unethical and immoral and inhumane scenario that's taking place today is child trafficking. And we need to have a voice, a loud voice about trying to stop it. This is what the examples of Epstein and Sean Puffy Combs is all about. And you have, and I'm telling you, there are two other puppets involved in this scenario that probably knows where all the bodies and bones are buried that nobody talks about. And I'm talking about two models in specific, Naomi Campbell and Kimora Lee Simmons. They have garnered themselves throughout the music business, the fashion industry, and they know everybody. And if there was ever a scenario where they had to come in and be interrogated under oath about what all they have known over the last 30 to 30 years in the entertainment business, they could have the entire industry locked up. Naomi Campbell and Kimora Lee Simmons, for sure. These individuals have dated people from Mike Tyson to CEOs of companies, to Sean Puffy Combs, to Russell Simmons, who Kimora Lee Simmons was married to. You saw when he started having these allegations of R and abuse, essay abuse, he moved to Bali. Some may say that was the smartest thing for him to do. Some may say it was cowardice. But nobody, at some point, as these revelations continue to come out, there's going to be a subpoena, probably, for Kimora Lee Simmons and Naomi Campbell in this whole craziness that has taken place in the fashion industry and the music industry and the entertainment industry as a whole. I'm not trying to throw them under the bus, but we have to have a measuring stick to get it to stop. And while these guys like Sean Puffy Combs and Jeffrey Epstein, they are aligned and maligned with other individuals. And typically it's a woman like Ghislaine Maxwell, who assisted in bringing in these young women to Jeffrey Epstein. There is an alignment with Sean Puffy Combs and a woman who was able to bring other folks in, as you found out with the Cassie situation, by bringing in male entertainers, and I'm sure there were female entertainers where Cassie was the one navigating that entire situation. So Ghislaine Maxwell knows where all so I think that Naomi Campbell and Kimora Lee Simmons are the Ghislaine Maxwell of this entire debacle. They both, being ex-Victoria's Secret models. I'm not sure if Kimora Lee Simmons ever was a Victoria's Secret model, but I definitely know that Naomi Campbell was. Are they the gatekeepers for these men who are causing this abuse to both men, young men and young women in the entertainment industry? So just like Ghislaine Maxwell had to meet her maker in the court of law, there should be some kind of interview with Naomi Campbell, Kimora Lee Simmons, about what they know about the industry. They know where all the bones and bodies are buried. But this is not about them. This is mostly about Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Puffy Combs. And I do believe with the Trump administration, there's a lot of fodder, there's a lot of fluff to it, because Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein very well, just like he knew Sean Puffy Combs. And there are pictures with both where Trump is with both of them. Trump has been to Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan apartment or townhome several times, and he doesn't want to tell on himself. He may have been compromised, and we all know that Donald Trump has a thing for models, and he has a thing for foreign women that barely speak English. So this is not something new. So he doesn't want the files out. So don't get jaded by what comes out of someone's mouth. Don't judge them by their verbal interaction. Judge them by what they do. Don't listen to the words, listen to what they do and how they act. So they can say all they want to in the Trump administration that they're going to let the Epstein files out, but they're not going to do it. It would be too much exposure on both Democrats and Republicans and world leaders. We're talking about Mossad, the CIA, Israel. It makes you wonder. As of right now, America has heavily funded Israel. We were heavily behind Israel becoming its own state in the 1940s. It's no wonder that Israel is having this fight with Hamas, the Palestinians, as we speak. We have sent billions of dollars to Israel. By no surprise, that war could be over tomorrow if the United States didn't have a hand dealt in it. The Ukraine and Russia situation, America's in the middle of that. Remember during the Biden administration and Joe Biden's son and his relationship with Ukraine, a lot of this information is right in front of you. You just have to pay attention and read between the lines. Jeffrey Epstein was not the puppeteer. He was a puppet. Sean Puffy Combs was a puppet and not the puppeteer. So who are the people that are in the chambers above those two that allowed all of this abuse of innocent young people to take place in our world today? Tell me what you think. This has been a Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth.